Getting introduced to music at a very young age would at least mean some age, but I think from the womb itself, I learned my first alphabets and my first sur from my mother. My father being very, very busy at that time, and I was too young and small and insignificant a student for him to kind of devote a lot of time for my music. When I was 9 years old, following the tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara, I was taken to my father's Guruji, Guru Gyan Prakash Ghoshji, for my Ganda Bandhan. Ganda Bandhan is a very sacred, a very pure ceremony uh, that kind of binds the Guru and the Shishya together. The Guru kind of takes the Shishya, under his or her wings, and it becomes family, sometimes more than family. My talim with him continued for about 3 4 years. Then he was unwell, and he was not being able to teach like regularly. And then my talim continued with my father, and it still continues, and it will continue you know till I can learn.
Sadega sama ga re zapa sadega ma pa re pa ma ga re ga sadega sama ga re zapa sadega ma pa tambura chuje bajao sadega sama ga re zapa sadega ma pa re pa ma ga re dha re ga ma pa dha ga ma.
It was very, very important for me to bring the architectural brilliance of what this tradition holds. People see musicians play so effortlessly, come to the sum, to the first beat and meet and wah and clapping. But most people don't realize what it takes, the background of the preparation of what it took Kaushiki Ji or Purbayan Ji with the tabla player, with everybody to come to that first beat. For me, it's way beyond rocket science. It's divinity. My devotion towards the art form or towards yoga or towards Ayurveda, all the Indic traditions, the music has helped me raise that bar. There was always this urge to give back in one way or another. And what do I give back? True understanding and kind of raising the bar in the listeners, in the students, in the musicians as well, about the excellence and the uniqueness and the genius of our sages. I take everybody back to the Vedas because that's where everything began for India as far as the Indic traditions go.
Raga Unveiled lies in fully exploring the realm of Hindustani classical music.
I remember I got a call from Pandit Vijay Kishluji, who is like a father figure in Calcutta. So he said, "Sitar leke aa jao," to main sitar leke pahuncha. When I looked back and I saw the documentary and I saw it in bookstores somewhere across the world, I felt very proud. And then when I got to see the documentary and I saw that there were people like Pandit Ajoy Chakraborty ji, like Ustad Zakir Hussain Saab, like, you name it, Shiv Kumar Sharma ji, everybody was on it. And I think for me, it's great because, I'm like 20 years down the line or 50 years down the line when I may not be here anymore. At least somebody will see the documentary and see me as a part of this whole galaxy of artists. And the name is so appropriate, Raga Unveiled. It's a great name.
Everything becomes one. The main artist, the accompanist, the music, the instrument, the listener, the place, everything becomes one straight line into one entity.
When people like Geeta ji come along and take the initiative, it's heartwarming because somebody has to do it. Somebody has to take the initiative and have the courage to document our music. I think one of the very serious deficiencies, I would say, of our oral tradition is that there is not enough documentation that has happened. I mean, if you look at the Western world, right back to the Baroque age, you will see there is notations for everything. Everything is archived and documented. And I am not taking anything away from the oral tradition that is Guru Shishya Parampara.
It's like law and liberty together.
You must approach this whole knowledge with humility, accepting how your guru is taking you in a certain direction.
Very later in my life, in my teens maybe, or maybe when I was a bit more grown up, I realized Sangeet Research Academy, that it's an organization, it's an institution where teaching happens, and it's like a different kind of an environment. But to start with, to begin my life, that was home. And I didn't know any other way. The first thing I will hear in the morning would be somebody's riyaz. And I thought, every kid just wakes up this way, because I didn't know any other way of life. So my father was first a student there, then a musician scholar, as they said, there, and then a guru, and then an expert committee member, which is like the senior most guru category. So all through this journey, I was there. I used to go to school and come back there. For me, Pandit A.T. Kanan, Pandit Vijay Kichlu, Ustad Rashid Khan Sahab, Pandit Nivriti Bua Sarnaik, they were all, uncles, and, I used to call them by those names. So I never realized until I was, a bit grown up to realize that, I have pictures of me on someone's lap, playing with someone, with Zakir Ji, holding me on his lap and things like that. I never realized how unbelievable and impossible it is, and it can be for a child to kind of have them as family. But yeah, I think as Geeta Ji has mentioned, when you have grace, things happen and you don't have to make an effort, and things just happen. And very, very later in life, when you look back and you think that how special and how impossibly blessed these moments would have been in my life, and without me even being aware of it, they contributed so much in making me whoever I am, and will continue to inspire me to become a better person, a better student of music, a better listener, a better learner every day.
Sound is the beginning and the end of all. Everything has a sound component associated with it.
It was a complete honor and a privilege to sit in front of such, they're human treasures. What can I say? I could not fathom how this beautiful art form was, is here with us, and that what can I do for it so that it is shared with millions. That's always been my wish, because it's so transformative. It's the fastest way to human refinement, actually. You become whole, you become one with things around you. There's less conflict within you. Whatever yoga has been described, this is no lesser. The power of sound was one of the greatest means of going inward. All of us can tap into it to this day and forever. Nothing changes when it comes to Indic traditions, nothing. Unshakable.
A rag is not only the notes in the rags, it is much, much beyond it.
Full of beauty. They are living. You will have to make the relationship with them.
I would recommend that you listen to any rag in a space, in a mind space, where you are ready to internalize it. Just listening to it as a background music, just listening to it when you're doing 500 other things, you will hear it. It's good for casual listening. It's nice to have, an association of music anyway. But if you want to internalize the vibrations of that rag, if you really want to internalize what the rag can do to you, what the rag can give you, how the rag can enhance your being. I think that small, very intense moment of you being connected to the rag without knowing the technicalities. We know that it has a time, it has a thought, it has certain melodic structure and things like that. But even without going into the technicalities, if you just give it a very careful listen, and if you just listen to it when you're ready to take it in, I think it'll have a huge impact in your being, in the inner state of mind that is the womb of all the possibilities of your life. Performing a raga is a very different experience, but learning a raga for me is a very divine experience. It's like journeying your inner possibilities, journeying your inner being, and finding out that connection that brings you brings you close and makes you one with the rag. Then actually the rag starts becoming a personality. In the beginning, it's a personality that you would admire, you would respect, you would bow down to, but slowly it becomes a friendly personality. Then it allows you access, then it allows you to communicate with it. Then comes a point when it actually answers back, when it actually responds to your emotions and it talks back to you. And then comes a point of a very intimate relation with the rag, when you actually know what the rag wants you to sing. And I think when a musician truly goes deep into the framework and the space of a rag, the musician himself or herself reaches a point of abstraction. I think that is the point where the rag, the singer or the performer, the musician and the audience, they meet, because that's the abstraction that we all long for. That's the actual feeling of spirituality, and that's where we all meet, and that's where we all are one. And I think music can be a great medium to help us reach that point of abstraction, where the musician, the music, the vibrations, and the audience, they all become one.
We treat the raga as something human, and therefore when we are either practicing raga or singing raga, we are establishing a very close relationship with it. We get lost in that relationship.
It's the only music where I have heard musicians very proudly say, I have not rehearsed for this concert. So there are two sides to this. The one thing is the discipline and the tradition is such that we are taught to pick up on each other's language very fast, okay? And because it is essentially, like an orally transmitted tradition, so you are constantly following your guru's cue. He or she is not even spelling it out. Most of the time, you're just looking at his or her eyes and trying to figure out, if it should be a little less or a little more, or, if the ornament was okay. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is, although we say that we haven't rehearsed, we actually do rehearse. And it's so important to rehearse, because when you want to get a concert right, you actually want to sit with your tabla player, you want to sit with your harmonium player and make sure that he or she understands, that whatever that verbal cue is, or whatever that little, visual cue is, you have to understand each other's body language. So we actually rehearse and then we say we haven't rehearsed. That's how it works. It is composing on the spot, because you are making up the phrases, as you very correctly say, but composing within a structure, okay? The structure part of it is very important. So in Indian classical music, we have the bandish. First of all, we have the raga. So the raga has a set of notes or a set of phrases, not only is it about the notes, but it's also about how you weave those notes together into very specific, distinguishable kind of phrases. But having a specific set of phrases doesn't mean you're going to be repetitive. You need to become friends with the raga. What is becoming friends with the raga? Is to find your own 2 cents within the framework or within the parameters of these phrases. And then you have the bandish. So the bandish is the fixed composition, and then you improvise on certain elements of the bandish. When it's vocal music, then you need to have the poetry in mind. There are certain parts of the bandish that you can elaborate or elongate, and there are certain parts that you cannot. And when it comes to instrumental music, you have the gat, you have the mukam or the mukhra, and you have to improvise and come back to the mukhra. So there are certain rules, there is a little grammar around it. So any kind of improvisational music requires a great deal of intuition and a great deal of understanding of space and phrasing. So what you are calling composing or being the composer on the spot is an improvisation. So playing by the rules, and yet you're playing with the rules to make it seem like you are the maker of the music, and yet you are playing by the rules. And that's the fun, and that is the artistry.
I think 60s and 70s were the beginning of Eastern music, especially Indian music, reaching out to the Western audience and Western musicians. I think then onwards, the journey continues, and the journey has it has created possibility for more collaboration, for more crossover projects, for more crossover opportunities for musicians where they can learn each other's idioms. I believe music is a very independent language. So the communication that happens within musical forms and idioms is also a very independent kind of a conversation, which is not restricted to the political boundaries of countries and states. And I really think that now more than ever, musicians from all over the world, and not only musicians, I think people from all over the world are looking at the East for tradition, for spiritualism, for meditation, for yoga, for music, and for a lot of other things that connects our lives together and enhances the quality of it.
To sustain an art form is not just the job of a musician. We are as much part of this, and this is my appeal, and I've always done it in my own way, but it should continue in a very big way, especially after this pandemic. The society has to come forward and give a very, very strong hand to the artists. That's how it was. Patronage was how everything came up. They should not be worrying about just paying bills. They should be worrying about giving the best music, and that takes peace of mind. That takes mundane stuff has to be out. Art form doesn't happen otherwise. Art does not happen otherwise. Whether it's a musician or a sculptor or an artist, it requires that support. Let us give it to them, and to the art form more than them.